What is up, guys? Welcome to another video on my channel, HAIRLICIOUSLY. If you guys are new to this channel, my name is Aaron and I have dedicated this channel to treating hair loss and hair transplants. I talk about various topics as well as any upcoming news on hair loss treatments in the pipelines. If you guys want to know about the things that I do to maintain my hair after a hair transplant to slow down further hair loss, feel free to check out my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com, where I use Finasteride, derma rollers, microneedling devices, and a bunch of other stuff that are supposed to help in regrowing hair. So today in this video, I wanted to discuss a topic of something that's been on my mind for a while. As you guys know, prevention is key when it comes to treating hair loss, and we have FDA-approved hair loss medications such as Finasteride and minoxidil, and also other non-FDA approved medications such as dutasteride and a bunch of other drugs that help slow down hair loss. We know that our best bet right now is, in terms of treating hair loss, to the point where we might be able to regain a full set of hair again, is through stem cell research or hair cloning. And those who have actually been pretty active in the hair loss community know that Dr. Tsuji is in the works of cloning hair in Japan. And it involves pretty much replicating an unlimited number of hair follicle cells, which then can be used to implant them directly into the scalp for hair growth. I was going to do an update on Dr. Tsuji because a lot of you guys have been asking me to do an update, and it's been forever since they actually have provided us with anything. But we have not heard back anything in terms of further news and updates. We do know that Dr. Tsuji is planning on starting human clinical trials in the next coming months for 2019. So we should have some good news in the near future if they are actually able to confirm their safety profile. So as always, I'm going to keep you guys updated as soon as I hear anything pertaining to Dr. Tsuji. Now, besides hair follicle cell replication, I was reading this article dated last month that I came across, and it involves the potential and possibility to use someone else's hair to implant them back into your scalp. So it's very interesting, and it works the same way of how an organ transplant would work. So imagine the possibility of being able to pay people, money for the hair follicles and being able to implant them directly into your own scalp without having to suffer from any side effects. I think this would be amazing. This would be a great potential for somebody who is Norwood 7 to be able to go back to a Norwood 1 or 2. So imagine your dad donating 1,000 grafts, your mom another 1,000, your brother or sister 1,000, and a couple friends who are like Norwood 1s or Norwood 0s who have very good donor supply that are willing to donate you 1,000 grafts each. So that alone would be 5,000 grafts, which would easily be anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000 hairs. And with today's advancement when it comes to hair transplants, and with some of the most prominent hair transplant doctors that do have the ability to recreate a natural looking and also dense hairline, I think this would be a dream come true for so many balding people, especially those who are suffering from a more severe form where they actually have a lack of donor supply. So the study involved researchers from Seoul National University Hospital in South Korea, yes, South Korea, where they announced that they had a successfully conducted an allogeneic hair transplant without the use of immunosuppressants. The research team was led by Professor Kwon Oh-sang, and for those who have no knowledge about how allogeneic transplants work, let me go ahead and give you guys a brief explanation. So the term allogeneic involves tissues and cells that are genetically dissimilar and immunologically incompatible, although it comes from the same species. So for example, an organ transplant would require the recipient to be on immunosuppressants for the rest of his or her life so that the body does not reject the organ. Now obviously the organ is from human to human, but the term allogeneic is pretty much the fact that we are not compatible despite both being humans. What the immunosuppressants do is they pretty much trick the immune system to thinking that the new organ is part of the body rather than an organ that it doesn't belong to. And organ rejections oftentimes happen because the immune system detects that the antigens on the cells of the organ are different or they simply do not match. So this is the reason why people who get organ transplants have to be on immunosuppressants for the rest of their lives. Now, current hair transplants are called autologous hair transplantation since we are using our own hair follicles from the back of our own scalps. So the body is not going to reject something that is coming from our own unless you are suffering from some type of autoimmune disease. But yeah, pretty much Dr. Kwon focused on dendritic cells involved in human immunity, and dendritic cells recognize abnormal cells such as tumors and cancers in the body, and they play a vital role when it comes to attacking the immune T cells to attack tumors while it also attacks the transplanted organs after recognizing them as foreign body. So the researchers focused on this fact that donor dendritic cells play a crucial role when it comes to acute immune rejection. So what they did was they used ultraviolet B radiation, and the researchers, they were able to remove all of the donor dendritic cells that were present in the donor hair follicles, and then they performed an allogeneic hair transplant on 24 humanized mice which had the same level of the immune system as the humans through hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. And as a result, the transplanted hair follicles produced new black hairs, and they survived longer than 6 months without an immune rejection response. Now obviously there's much more research that is required and many challenges ahead. But nevertheless, this is great news since it opens up the doors of the possibility of using someone else's hair follicles to implant them into your own scalp without having any rejections. And like I said, this is pretty much in its infancy. They just came up with this research, and they obviously need more testing. But for those who want to read about the study, I will be leaving the link in the description box for those who want to read it thoroughly. And pretty much the next hopeful step would be to have clinical trials on human beings to determine the efficacy and safety profile. But nevertheless, this is so amazing. I think that this is one of the best articles and best news that I've received so far. We don't know if Professor Kwan's plan with this development is to proceed or not, but let's hope that they do end up proceeding for human trials. And there's just so many new hair loss treatments in the pipelines, and so many biopharmaceutical companies, so many pharmaceutical companies and universities that are trying to find better treatments for hair loss. And I am so optimistic about the future of curing hair loss, or at the very least finding something that is more effective than current mainstream treatments. I know that when it comes to hair loss cures, we're always pushing back 5 years. We're saying 2020 is the year where we're gonna end up curing baldness. The good news is that we're getting closer and closer, and hopefully in the near future we will be able to find something that is going to be able to help those who are suffering from severe forms of baldness. Anyways guys, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are on allogeneic hair transplantation. Being able to have the possibility of using mine or your friends, your parents, whatever, and just being able to implant them directly into your own scalps. So if you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button so that I can create more content pertaining to hair loss and hair transplants and any more current updates and developing research. As always, thanks for all of your support, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.